Hello, KMA Tribe, friends, family, students. Today, I want to talk to you about surviving the stress drill. And I thought about this. I was listening actually to a podcast. I listened to it a couple days ago, and then I've shared it with a bunch of people since because it's so good. It's from a success guru, Darren Hardy. Maybe you've heard of him. He was instrumental in my life early on with many of his great works, The Compound Effect and the leadership roller coaster and the entrepreneur roller coaster, and a lot of great books he wrote, and some courses I took, Insane Productivity, and some others. He was also the publisher of Success Magazine back when my school was first featured in it. So he's kind of a mentor of mine, and there was this great little 4-minute podcast that I actually shared with you, where he starts with an awesome story and teaches some great stuff. And I'm not going to dive too much into his thunder because I actually shared the link here with you. It's that good, and I highly recommend you go listen. But in it, he talked about the toddler mind, and in the toddler mind, he was talking about how we somehow sometimes resort or go back to return to really unhealthy habits of our past, even to our toddler past, because of overwhelm, because of the number of conflicting priorities, distractions, things in life. And it got me thinking about how life is like our stress drill. If you don't know me, I'm Grandmaster Stephen Del Castillo, and I'm the chief and master instructor of Krav Maga martial arts in Luce, Florida. And we teach an awesome system where we're a leadership development academy that also happens to teach the most practical self-defense in the world. And today I want to do a comparison of our Krav Maga stress drill in self-defense and as pertains to the challenges of life, because the analogy is really great. And the first, and I took a couple notes here to make sure I said everything I wanted to. I already told you about Darren and the toddler brain, but the next one is that's what new white belts, our beginners, look like the first time they do a stress drill. Even though there are only very few variables at that point in time. I mean, literally, 2 or 3 attacks, sometimes one attack, and the combatives, the kicks and punches on the pad that they have to get back to. At the very beginning, there's very small problem, very small stimulus, relatively speaking, and yet the beginner will find themselves in toddler brain. They become overwhelmed, and one of the points that Darren makes is that in this situation, one of the possibilities is you just shut down. And we see this sometimes as new students negotiate the stress drill. Number 2, I want to just talk about how the comparison between that and life, because I want to talk about some specific things that help us to negotiate so that doesn't happen as we move through the timeline and get better and better and better at the stress drills of Krav Maga and life. One of them is, of course, you go in with a plan, and the plan, of course, in out there on the floor is based on the class, right? You learned this technique, you practice the technique, you know what the attack's got to be, you know what the technique's got to be, and you've made a plan, and you go out. So level 1 is planning, and then level 2, of course, is that we know no plan survives first contact. So it's reacting to the contingencies that will occur in even a beginner or intermediate stress drill, and learning. I believe it's one of the most valuable things of the stress drill is learning to operate under stress, learning to deal with that problem and move back to what the original objective and focus was, right? To deal with the contingency and get back to the pad and back to the pad. That's one of the things, right? And then look, another one of the things that's very, very similar is that you better do an after action review and talk about what you did right and talk about what didn't go so well. Because, like we say, it's a good thing to get stabbed with a rubber knife all day long. It doesn't matter in the classroom. It doesn't matter when you're training, when you're studying, when you're learning, when you're planning and preparing. That is what that is. That's getting ready for when it's real. And the important thing is that every time we do that, we make sure that it's evaluated practice, that we take 2 steps back and evaluate so that we get better over time. So that when we have to deal with the problems, self-defense scenario, or the challenges in running a business, running a family, any other thing in life, that we're better prepared because we are actually, we use the acronym PERI. We plan, we act, we review, so we improve. The fourth thing is that as the student levels up, the challenges get greater. A sophomore level student, right, purple, blue, green belt, is going to be performing at a much higher level than a freshman level student, right? And, however, going to have new problems to deal with. The challenges get greater. It's like, wow, all that got easy, but now I feel like a beginner again because the challenges are greater. And this will go on all the way to black belt and beyond when the number of problems are far greater. At black belt level, the student is dealing with multiple attackers and sticks and knives and guns. I mean, it's a bad situation. But the point of the story, and this is the last point I wanted to make about it, is the black belt will perform more at ease, better, even look smooth dealing with these multiple problems, even though just a small fraction of the same stimulus melted them like a toddler when they were a beginner. And why does this happen? See, the stress will even appear, not just to everybody else, but even to the black belt themselves, will appear easier, but it only appears easier because of who that person has become along the journey. Now listen, that is what we do through our Krav Maga Martial Arts Black Belt Leadership Program is develop students. We develop confident and competent black belt leaders prepared to survive and thrive in these situations. And that's talking about the worst case violent situations of our stress drill that we train for on the mats. But it's also for the leadership, personal, professional, financial, any kind of challenges of life. We're preparing the student to survive and thrive. And the same thing, by the way, for same thing in business, right? Like if, many of our students are business owners or other professionals. And we know that in our careers, in our professional lives, there are challenges as well. In all of the things, the goal is for the same phenomenon to occur. Life got harder, but it seems easier. And it seems easier because you're better prepared to survive and thrive and empowered to lead where you're at and into your future. That is the way we do. This is how you survive the stress drill. I'm going to close with this because if you're one of my students, you're in this process. You're on this journey already. But I want everybody to be able to take some action on this. So this is the thing. You go and you say, what are the challenges and the stresses that I'm going through right now? And how am I doing? You assess, right? Or what are the potential ones that I'm worried about? And you prepare. And then you execute, and then you evaluate. And it's how you grow. It's the positive spiral of success. Prepare to live, empower to lead. I'm John Steve, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.